Hey everyone, this is Jonathan with Short Term Dojo, and the video you're about to watch is a very high level explanation of the three specific ways you can get in the short term rental or Airbnb business. And what I go through in this is about 5.5 minutes long. I'll walk through at a very high level the ways that you engage and pick up and essentially run that particular path. And I'll talk about the three: master lease or rental arbitrage, co-hosting, and true ownership. I have created subsequent videos that dive a little bit deeper with a case study with some financials and some pros and cons of each of those. But this particular video is just so you understand how you would operate that particular path and to dictate which one you would want to research further for you. Thanks for watching and have a great day. And today I wanted to talk about three specific ways at a very high level that one can get involved in short-term rentals. I get this question quite a bit where people are hearing more and more about the short-term rental space and the excellent cash flow that you can make from this business and from these assets. And so I get this ask like, hey, how do I get started? I'm hearing a lot about short-term rentals. What can I do? What are my methods to get involved and to pick one of these up and start one of these things? So I want this to be a very high level video on these three methods. And what I will do after this is I'll actually create three more granular, in-depth videos to explain each of these scenarios individually with some pros, some cons, some risks, some of the expenses involved, and actually give an example on how you acquire one, what it might cost, and what you might make from it. But today we're going to keep it really simple just so you understand the three paths that people take, and you might understand what might work for you in your situation. So we'll start with the first path. You may have heard some terminology here, rental arbitrage. And what this is, all this is it's called a master lease. That's it. That's really the official term for it. And what it is that you are finding a unit or a home or a townhome, a unit in an apartment building, just like you would if you were going to live there yourself and you were going to rent the property. You sign a lease with the landlord and you now become a tenant. You want to disclose that you're going to be running this unit as an Airbnb, but essentially you become the tenant. You sign an official lease for that unit, that house, the townhome, and you turn around and then you start charging and you running it as an Airbnb. You charge for short-term stays. So just to be clear here, that's what arbitrage is when you acquire something and you rent it and you turn around and then you start renting it to others for a higher price in a different business model. And in this particular case, you'll see some red dollar signs here, but I just want to make it clear, here's where money out of your pocket starts to come into play. So the first step naturally would be sign a lease, which would require probably a security deposit and first month's rent, maybe last month's rent. Then you have to actually spend some money to furnish it because you're going to be responsible for that. Unless you're renting a furnished unit, most likely you're going to populate the unit with furniture and decor and decorations and utensils, things like that. And that is a secondary injection of your own money to get it ready. But once that stage is done, you're ready to run your Airbnb. So that's it. That's what a master lease is. That's what rental arbitrage is. If you heard that term, you're renting it, you're an official tenant, and you're turning around, you're furnishing it, getting it ready, and you're turning around and you're renting it to others in short-term stays. So that's rental arbitrage. The second path is probably one of the most popular, just given that it comes with the least amount of risk and the least amount of cost up front, very negligible costs. And this is called co-hosting. And what this is that you're finding a unit, you're finding a property. It may or may not be for rent, but what you're doing is you're approaching the owner of that property, negotiating with them to see if they would like for you to actually manage that property and turn it into an Airbnb, or maybe take it over as an Airbnb if they were doing that before. So you're in essence becoming a property manager in this case. So you're not signing a lease, you don't have a contractual obligation to be responsible financially for paying for the unit, where you can then turn around, rent it and make the difference. Everybody knows up front that they own it, they're responsible for all the expenses. You're just going to take a particular cut from the owner. So now you're essentially starting a property management business. The owner is obligated for all the expenses for the most part, furnishings, the purchasing of the unit if they don't have one yet. You're going to manage it on their behalf and take a percentage, usually between 20 and 40%, depending on many factors. The third and final method, which is my favorite currently, we are building a portfolio of investment properties for various reasons. I love ownership. This is the third and final way is naturally you can own the property and do what you'd like with it, given certain regulations or HOA regulations, different things like that. As long as they're allowed, you can turn this into a short-term rental. So put a $2 signs there just because that's going to be the most expensive part of anything is actually acquiring a property. It's very expensive, a lot of money up front. So once you acquire that, you have to spend a little bit more money to furnish the unit and then turn it into an Airbnb and off you go. So very high level, these are the three specific ways that you can get involved in short-term rentals and get one under your belt. I will dive a little bit deeper into each of these in some subsequent videos, but I hope this just helps alleviate any questions on, I've heard of different ways I can get one of these, I can start one of these. It's three main ways: master lease or rental arbitrage, co-hosting, or owning the unit outright. So I appreciate your time today. If you have any questions, just please drop them below. I'll do my best to answer them. And please follow up to see the videos that dive in a little bit further for each of these as you think you might want to explore one of these three methods. Thanks and have a great day.